I'm Sean, the owner and lead tutor of MathSwap Tutoring, and I wanted to talk a little bit about when a student should start preparing for the SAT, essentially taking SAT prep. So typically, I have recommended that a student be at least in or out of the 10th grade um, before they start doing investing in test prep and that type of thing. But let me clarify that a bit. So the SAT includes four different types of math. You have Heart of Algebra, which is basically algebra, like linear equations, systems of linear equations and inequalities, um, functions to some degree, stuff like that. Comparing things that have linear relationships. You also have problem solving and data analysis, which includes stuff like ratios, percentages, proportions, some level of probability, statistics, basic statistics, um, things like that. Then you also have Passport to Advanced Math, which is math that is essentially kind of, as they say, associated with, and when I say they, I mean the people who make the SAT, the College Board. Math that is going to be helping you prepare for STEM stuff, you know, preparing you for calculus, preparing you for other things like that. The equation is kind of like more advanced algebra. And then finally, you have additional topics in math, and that's going to include like geometry stuff, volumes, area, surface area, touching on trig, but not really going deep into trig. Like sine, cosine, tangent, different things like that, radians, and stuff like that. A little bit, circles. So that's kind of like what's covered on there. Now, where do you cover these types of math? So a lot of this stuff is going to be covered when you're in Algebra 1, up to and through Algebra 1. And then usually after Algebra 1, some people take geometry, which there's some, as I said, geometry on the SAT. And then Algebra 2. So preferably, before you take the SAT, my recommendation is that a person will have taken Algebra 1 and geometry at least. And so that is up to, usually people take Algebra 1 either in ninth grade or eighth grade even. So I say most people might do it in ninth grade. So, and then they might take geometry in the 10th grade. So that would mean I would recommend that somebody be in or out of 10th grade geometry before you really start to prepare, because it helps to kind of see that stuff before you take the SAT and before you really start getting into it. So that's about 10th grade. That said, some people will take Algebra 1 in 8th grade, take geometry in ninth grade, take Algebra 2 in 10th grade. Now, I would probably have the same general recommendation for them. They might can go a little bit earlier. But again, it helps to have a fresh, like a first look is what I mean to say. Have a first look. Now, all of this stuff said, if you are a strong math student and you grasp algebra very well, you've taken algebra in the 8th grade, you did well in algebra, you did well in pre-algebra, maybe you're in ninth grade geometry and you understand that stuff pretty well, maybe you can go ahead and start preparing, like investing in test prep. Whether that means you get your own book or you sign up for a service like the one that we offer. You can do that as well. I just say at least don't wait any later than 10th grade, I would say. If you're going to start preparing, if you really want to like maximize your score, don't wait any later than 10th grade. And when I say 10th grade, I mean during that year and then after that year. Because the thing is, you also have the PSAT. The PSAT is usually an 11th grade test that people in the 10th grade can go ahead and start to take as well. And then also people who take the PSAT have the opportunity to, get the National Merit Scholarship. So, you can start preparing to try to do well with that as well. So anyhow, that's why I usually recommend like 10th grade. For some people, it might be ninth grade. But I'll say absolutely no later than the 10th grade should a person start to invest in some kind of test prep in preparing for the SAT. And also keep in mind that the ACT math is not necessarily as, I don't know if the word is complex, but I just use it. The math on the ACT is a little less complex. It's easier. But that said, I mean, it's still a test that you get scores on, and then those scores are looked at a certain way by colleges. So it really doesn't matter which one you take. So anyhow, that's why I usually recommend no later than 10th grade. Okay. Hopefully this is helpful. If you need guided practice on the SAT and ACT math, whether you take one test or both, join my class, my weekly SAT, ACT math practice class. We would love to have you. We practice problems every single week from real SATs and ACTs, and give you the opportunity to ask questions, and you get that consistent practice. That's very, very important to be able to remember what's going to be on these tests and to not be surprised. Okay. Hopefully this video helps.